I made a Cantonese version for this video, and I posted it. One of the viewers said, well, advised me to put a English version in and put another kind of spin and perspective on it. So it's not exactly a repeat of my Cantonese version. I do not want to leave my English speaking friends behind, so I know a lot of my videos are in Cantonese because a lot of my viewers are from Hong Kong or immigrants from Hong Kong or mainland China. Well, I'm going to make this English version, and of course I appreciate all the members who join, and it gives me a lot of encouragement, and it gives me a great comfort to see that I am not just speaking into thin air. So, and if you would like, you can join this particular channel and give me some encouragement. So, and I said before, I was reading this book, Suey Nation. It's a Canadian author, Canadian flag. The author is a reporter from the group in Mail. And she traveled from Victoria and starting to go east, visit a lot, and I mean a lot, of Canadian Chinese restaurants. Or we have a not so nice name for it called Chop Suey. She went to as east as Newfoundland. In Fogo Island, who knows? There's a Chinese restaurant in Fogo Island, Newfoundland. So, well, if you are looking for a foodie kind of book, which restaurant is good, which restaurant is not, no, you're not going to find it in this book. Nor you will see any how to cook kung pao chicken and all that. What's the recipe? No, you will not find in this book either. This is not a cookbook, and this is not a fruit critique kind of book. It is a book on Canadian Chinese immigrant. Some immigrated to Canada for decades, half a century or more. Some are recent immigrants, just for a few years. They either immigrated from mainland China or Hong Kong, and actually the father of Anne Shui immigrated from China. And she's what we call a Canadian-born Chinese, short for CBC. In a lot of Chinese families, Canadianized Chinese restaurant, those food, as she called it, or her relatives called it, are called fake Chinese food, or the food that used to trick Westerners, because we have the authentic Chinese food. So they are quite different from the some of the items in the Chinese restaurant menu. She was told, real Chinese will not eat those westernized fake Chinese food. But she got an interest in it, so she took on this project, traveled across Canada, and wrote a book on it. And I have to say, it is a page-turner. It is a very good book, not because she critiqued the food, but because of the human story. She talked about how the struggle and how of the Chinese immigrant, how they try to get into the Chinese community, contribute into the Canadian community and society. It is a heartwarming book, and I did cry in some of the stories because it resonates, and it is a heartwarming story. And one of the story really interested me was when she went to a small town in Alberta called Vulcan. Yes, Vulcan, like Mr. Spock. Of course, that town was named Vulcan long before Star Trek. And yes, I am a Trekkie. And it is interesting because she talked to the owner, the lady. They immigrated to Canada actually not that long ago, only for a few years. That family, she was a factory worker in southern China, a province called Guangdong. As a factory worker, her husband's also working in the same factory. All she did was to print logo on T-shirt, and her husband also did more or less the same thing and packaged those T-shirts in bags and box it and ship it all over the world. And that's their job. Things change when they have their child, their little girl, and they said, we have no future here. They are not well educated. On top of that, they didn't go to university, and they don't have much money. They are not rich. They're from a very poor village. And also, most importantly, they did not have any relationship. What it means is they didn't know any rich people. They didn't know any government official. So they are not going anywhere. They call it Quan Si. They have no future in China. And when the little girl was born, so what are they going to do? Her aunt was living in Winnipeg at the time. For some invitation, they immigrated to Winnipeg with her aunt, a family of 3. She loved Winnipeg. Her husband worked at a factory in Greyhound with the buses, working with the buses. She had another job, so they both work during daytime and learn English in the evening. And they live in Winnipeg for 3 years. They love people there. They heard that there was a restaurant in Vulcan, Alberta, looking for somebody to lease it. So they left Winnipeg, went to Vulcan, took up the 10-year lease. By the time that the author interviewed them, it was in the 2nd year of the lease. At first, it's okay, but things got tougher. They have to lay off the waitresses, and there's only 3 people working there, the husband, the wife, and their nephew as the waiter. So 3 of them and the little girl live in Vulcan. And when the author met them in the restaurant eating, she saw the daughter at that time. The daughter, Cindy, was 11 years old. She was doing her homework, drawing in the restaurant. The lady told the author, "It's all for my daughter. Because when I was in China, she would have no future. Now, at least she can have a proper education. She has a chance to go to university." They work hard, and start working 8 o'clock in the morning in the restaurant. They wouldn't stop until 12 a.m. So it's about 16-hour days every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 if it is a leap year. And all they wanted was to save up enough money so they can put a down payment on a house. That's all they wanted. At least they are now contributing to the community, and they can see a future in Vulcan, Alberta. And when the author and her husband left, they mentioned something about Star Trek and Vulcan. And the lady, the restaurant owner, had no idea what Vulcan, except it is the name of the town, no idea what Star Trek or why this notoriety of this town. Really simple. Because they work every single day. They don't have any life outside the restaurant. It is a human story, and also the author also took comparison with the recent immigrant to Vancouver. Of course, she was brought up in Vancouver, second generation. She saw the changes in Vancouver during the 1980s, 90s, year 2000, when all the people, immigrants from mainland China and Hong Kong moved into the city. They bought up the houses, tore down all the houses, building monster home. Of course, it didn't sit well with the local. So it's a lot of tension, conflict there. And also those people, when they immigrate into Vancouver, a lot of them, they have money. Not just that they bought houses, they bought Mercedes, Lamborghinis, and Porsche. And in the school, in the students' parking lot, is all the Lamborghinis, Porsche, Mercedes, and all those cars. In the teachers' part of the parking lot, it is Toyota, Honda, Chrysler. Comparing with another group of immigrants, they struggle just to get by, but they still have hope. The author made a very stark comparison to this. And when I'm thinking about working such a long hours, 366 days a year, it also brought me to another topic is, strangely, in Montreal, in New York, mostly North American, the Jewish immigrant to North America, they have a very close connection or tradition with Chinese restaurants. There are reasons for that. First of all, for the Jewish, that's their dietary laws and regulation. Because, first of all, in New York, way back in the early 20th century, when the Jews immigrated here, there are Italian deli, Italian shops, German shops. It's very anti-Semitic. Their food, a lot of them, they're not kosher food. And the Jews going in New York or Montreal, they're not that welcome going into Italian restaurants or German restaurants. Another group of immigrants that they, in many ways, they don't care. The Chinese restaurant. First of all, the Jewish dietary rules, they cannot mix dairy product like milk and all that in some of their food. For the Chinese food, we hardly use dairy product, no milk. So it's not an issue. For pork and other shellfish, you can isolate them, no problem. And the Chinese restaurant owners, they don't discriminate. So for the Jews, they felt comfortable. And of course, both group, Chinese in the earliest 20th century and all that, they're also not in the main group, society. So both groups have kind of a similarity here. A lot of Jewish family have a tradition going to Chinese restaurants for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Now, in the Jewish tradition, they don't celebrate Christmas. Most Chinese don't either. But for a lot of in the society, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, it's a holiday. The Jews, they don't observe Christmas, neither Chinese. If they were to go to a restaurant or go somewhere, where are they going to go? Chinese restaurants always open, even on Christmas Day. It becomes a tradition for many Jewish families to have Chinese food during the Christmas season. It is interesting that many cultures, when they meet, they will share what they have, and it is such a blessing. At least I can see it for me to live in a diverse, multicultural, multi-ethnic society, instead of just living in small pockets, have nothing to do with anybody else. And I'm grateful that I can live in this society. That's all I'm going to say today. If you have any comment, please write it in the comment side and like the video and subscribe. And for those who could, you can join as a member. Thank you.